Hey guys, happy Tuesday and welcome to the team call, or as our guest speaker Anna likes to call them, the team party. I totally think we need to start calling our team calls the team party. So look forward to that coming up. But anyways, Anna is a good friend of mine, and I got to meet her in Belize when we went on see, there you go, you got a little cup. When we went on a yoga trip that really wasn't a Beachbody trip. It was more like Amy Silverman had hosted it for Beachbody coaches, but it wasn't necessarily around Beachbody. Just so happened that it was a bunch of Beachbody coaches going on a yoga trip. But anyways, Anna and I connected, and we've stayed in touch ever since, and we've just really bonded, and I feel like we've spent some time together at different events, and that's the best part about Beachbody is meeting friends and creating lifelong, meaningful relationships, right? So anyways, I love Anna's story because I feel like she has done it differently than a lot of people that we see who get all the recognition in Beachbody. And a lot of times we see that, someone has moved up the ranks or hit elite in a year or, in a year and a half or whatever, and that's awesome. But I want you guys to know that that's not always the case. And just because you maybe haven't done that in your own business doesn't mean that you're never going to be successful. Anna has been a coach for 5 years, and she didn't quit her full-time job until she was a coach for 4 years. So she built her business slow and steady. And I love that because it just goes to show that you don't have to do it at any certain pace to be successful, right? So I just want you guys to look at that example and know that that's okay, because everybody has their own way of doing this business. And Anna's now a full-time coach, and she was an elite coach in 2013 and was this close to elite coach in 2014, and I'm sure she'll talk maybe just a little bit about that as part of her story. But as you guys all know, there's ups and downs in this business, and failures and successes. And when there's failures, sometimes you just have to move on, and it's your choice on what you make with that failure. So with that being said, without further ado, I'm going to introduce Anna and hand it over to her. I'm so excited that she is giving her time to us tonight. So I hope you guys are ready to take lots of notes, because I know she's going to want your pens and highlighters ready. So Anna, it's you, girl.
All right. Thank you. And I have my Belize mug here.
Love it.
And it's been awesome to get to know you over the year. And like you said, we bond. We see eye to eye. And I'm going to just share a little bit about my story. Like Sarah said, I've been a coach for 5+ years. I was a coach. I became a coach in August 2009, and so it's 5.5 years. I don't know. You're a numbers girl. And I left my day job in August of 2013. So I was working full-time as a registered nurse. For years, I had climbed the corporate ladder, the nursing corporate ladder, to really better my family. I was always a go-getter. I always wanted to be better every year. So I was an OR nurse for years, and then I continued to grow. So when I became a coach as what we like to call a discount coach. I was a P90X success story, and I was working this successful day job. And the idea of being a coach and being in sales, and it just, at the time, I had no idea what it was, and I didn't want anything part of it. I didn't want a part of it, so I just wanted the discount because I had finished P90X, and I wanted to continue with something else, and people were asking me what I was doing. So I became a discount coach, and then what happened was I started to meet people like Sarah. I met the founding coaches that just inspired me. Wow, this is what this coaching thing is all about. So I started to get into the business. I started to understand what this business was about, but I didn't necessarily see myself anytime soon leaving my job because I had just started a new job as a clinical informatics nurse, which is a really boring computer nurse. But it was something new for me, so I didn't see that. right away. It took me a while to see it. And like Sarah said, it was slow and steady. I worked my hours. I worked 4 10-hour shifts. My commute was 45 minutes each way. And I have 2 little kids and a husband that I needed to, tend to when I was home. So I had very, very little time to build this business. And that's probably why it took me as long as it did. But there were lots of failures along the way. This was when we had 0 training, 0 challenge packs. Success Club was that you had to sign up a coach every month, and we only had Shakeology. So you imagine you had 1 point per order, and you had to sign up a coach every month in order to hit Success Club. So it was difficult. And but I just kept seeing people be successful, and I was just like, you know what? People were taking vacations, and I'm missing my family. I want to be a part of that. So I did finally set my mind to say, someday, we talk about setting goals, someday I am going to be doing this full time. Someday I'm going to be home with my kids. But in the beginning, it simply was first a discount. Second was, if I could pay for my shake, and then it was if I could pay for my kids' karate, and then it turned into my mortgage, and it just kind of grew from there. But there was one year I hit a plateau, and I think I made $200 a week for an entire year as an Emerald. No, I was a Diamond Coach. Diamond Coach, $200 a week for an entire year. So I still believed in the business. And so I still worked my butt off, working full time, because I believed wholeheartedly in what we had and what this opportunity was. I didn't need the money. I was making almost 6 figures, and but I just loved being surrounded by this environment of coaches. So I dug in, and I figured out what I needed to do to be successful. So I wanted to share with you some time management tips that I know work for me and continue to work for me, and I'll tell you they continue to work for me because there were times when I stopped doing it, and guess what happened to my business? I was flailing around. I didn't know even being home full time. I think I need to be more scheduled now than I was back then. So I want you guys to take notes and be excited, because most of us coaches like stationery and office supplies, and I'll give you some fun things to do with this. But I wanted to talk about creating a schedule for you based on working a full-time business, or working a full-time job running a business, because you guys are entrepreneurs. If you signed up as a coach yesterday, you are entrepreneurs, you have your own business. It's time to build it. And we have a hard time saying that we have time to do this business, but I am proof that you can build a business, a successful business, and walk away from that day job and be with your family, or whatever that goal is for you. But you have to put the effort in. Obviously, we always say that. You have to put the effort in. You have to do the daily activity, and I'm going to go over what we do on our team. But you have to schedule yourself. It's plain and simple. Okay, so what I have is you can use any planner. This one happened to come out this year. It's called a Passion Planner. For years, I used planner pads. You can go to plannerpads.com. Their shipping takes forever. But it can be any planner. So I start by taking a month. Actually, I start by taking 2 months. I take, for example, this is February, and I'm looking up on my wall, and my team knows this. Every time I have a team call, I'm looking up on my wall. They know exactly what's up there, but you can't see it. I have a 60-day calendar on my wall. You can have that 60-day calendar in your planner. What I do is I know exactly what I'm doing in the month. I know exactly when I'm going to start my challenge group, whether it's a free group or a paid group, Beachbody Challenge Group. I write that down. I write down exactly when I'm going to promote that group, because you need a certain period of time before the group starts in order to get everybody ready. And then I like to create urgency. So I always have a last call, and I write that down in the calendar. So I have 2 months worth of challenge groups and the days that I'm going to promote those groups, coach sneak peeks, when I'm going to prep the group, when I'm going to open the group. So I have that all set. That's where I start. So I know exactly what I've got done for February and March. And then I take my planner pad, or whatever your planner is. I like this one because it's in increments of 30 minutes, and it goes from 6 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. Because that's really my day. Not my coaching day, but my day. And this is where it gets fun. Okay, so you know what you're doing for your Beachbody business and when you're running your groups. That's kind of an overview. Now, what are your priorities in life? My priorities in life are my kids, my husband, my workouts, because that's a vital behavior and that takes care of me. And so that's where I start. So for my family, I have orange, okay? I know that my kids have soccer practice. So if you're working, you know when they have soccer practice, if that's you that has to take them there, if they have a game on the weekend, you have an event that you're going to with your family, you have a family movie night, whatever that may be, that's the first thing you put on your calendar. So what I do is I take my planner pad, and I'm going to give you a good one here. I don't know if you can see this. See all my colors, but I plug in my orange first because my family comes first. So I know that in the morning from 7:30 to 8, I'm getting my kids out the door. That was not necessarily the time that I was with my family when I was working full-time. So for me, when I was working full-time, that would be Saturday night would be movie night. Or on Friday, I had Fridays off. I worked 4 10-hour shifts Monday through Thursday. On Friday evening, I would take my kids to violin. So I would highlight that time from 5:30 to 7 o'clock. I highlight in orange. Okay, so I look on Sunday night, I look for the week. And I highlight in everything that my family does. Any has commitment that are already on the books. I have a standing date breakfast with my husband, and my husband, date time is pink. I don't know why, but it's pink. So my breakfasts with my husband, I would highlight in pink. Okay, so those are my first priorities, my family. And then I talked about myself, right, my workouts. So you know when you're working full-time, when are you going to work out? Well, you have to plan it. Otherwise, you go all day and then you don't get your workout done. And then you get mad at yourself. Trust me, I've been there. But for me, I used to work out late at night. I used to work out after the kids go to bed. So the kids would go to bed about 8:30. I would go straight to my closet, and then I would come down and work out. So for me, blue, that's my time. If I go get a massage, because I'm like a massage addict, you want me time, 30 minutes of you time, go get a chair massage. So my workouts are me time. No phone, no nothing but me. So I will highlight in 9:30, whatever the workout was. If it was P90X, it was longer. So I would highlight that, okay? So I've taken care of myself and my family first. Now, I have a day job that I'm committed to show up and do my job, right? So my day job, I started at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I ended at 6 o'clock at night. I would take a couple breaks during the day, and I would take an hour lunch. You may or may not have the same schedule, but I'm giving you an idea of what mine looked like and how I fit it in. So I left my house early, and I would show up at 7 o'clock. So from 7 until about 10 o'clock is when I took a break. When I was working full-time, highlight green for money. I earn money. Highlight from 7 to 10 o'clock was work time, and I was focused on my job. And it was very difficult during the time where I could see the end result to stay focused on my job. But I'll tell you, when you stay focused on your job, and I learned this at going to Danny Johnson, when you stay focused on your time while you are at work, you are a much better employee, and you can end the day in a good mood. And you go home to your family and you're smiling. So from 7 to 10, green, and then I would take a break. So I'd leave that blank. And then from 10:30 to noon, green, because I go to lunch at noon. From 1 until 6 o'clock at night, green. Okay, so I already know when I've committed to my day job. Now, what's in between is white. So that is the time that you need to look at your schedule and say, where am I going to fit in my 3 vital behaviors? You've already taken care of one because that's your workout. The 2 other pieces of the puzzle is your personal development and your invites. You're meeting people, you're adding new people to the network, you're having conversations. That's the big piece of the puzzle, right? Well, that's the part that we always have a hard time fitting in our personal development, because that usually is the first thing to go. But I'm guaranteeing you, if you schedule that in, you will continue to be consistent. And we know that for me, consistency was key. Consistency was the reason why I was able to leave my job. Because I had very little time, but I was very consistent in what I did. So for personal development, that's me time, blue. So I had a commute that was 45 minutes. So by the time I left my house and the time that I started work, that green part, I put in blue because I would listen to personal development on my way to work. No radio, just podcasts, YouTube videos I wouldn't watch, I'd listen to. So every day at work, Monday through Thursday for me, during that time, blue. And then I would write in, and I like to write in pencil because sometimes things change. I wrote in whatever personal development I was doing. Okay, so that's taken care of. So you've got the 2 to the 3 vital behaviors taken care of. You've got your family taken care of. You've got your day job taken care of. And you've got your me time taken care of. So the rest of the time should be spent on the fun stuff, the building your business, sending your messages, sending your invites, doing your social media. So you look at your calendar and you have a spot between 10:30 or 10 and 10:30 if you're taking a break, or 10 and 10:15, whatever that is for you. And you plug in. For me, in the morning, I used to get my new invitations out first thing in the morning, because once you get to reply to messages, that seems to be the first thing to go. So from 10 to 10:15, I would send out 5 new messages to people, 3 new messages, and I'll go over the power of 3, which is what we use. But I would send out those messages between 10 and 10:15. That's scheduled in. Messages sent to new people. There was a period of time before when I got up from work, and got ready for work. There was a very little window I would schedule that. That would be my sending off friend requests. I built most of my business on Facebook, and that was sending friend requests. So the first thing I would do in the morning is I would send 3 friend requests. That takes like 30 seconds. And then I've got my 10 to 10:15. I've sent off new messages. Now, between 12 and 1 o'clock, that's like an hour. That's your power hour, even though you've got other things that you've taken care of. Those are the follow-ups that you do. Those are the, a lunchtime post. If you have calls with your coaches, I did calls with my coaches. But I only kept them to 15 minutes. Calls with your coaches for 15 minutes are very valuable. I asked 3 things. This is like bonus, okay? So if you have a team and you're trying to get calls with your coaches and they're taking an hour and a half, this is going to save you time. 3 things. What was one great thing that happened to you today? That usually takes the longest because people have a hard time coming up with one good thing. But you always have to start the call that way. One good thing that happened to you today. What is one thing that you're struggling with that seems to take the longest? I said the other one takes the longest, but one thing you're struggling with. That's really why they want the call. And then the third thing is, do you have any questions for me? I can guarantee you that will fit in 15 minutes. So if you have an hour at lunch, you schedule 15-minute calls, and you go those 3 things, and they're incredibly productive. So now you've got 45 more minutes to work on your invitations, your follow-ups, and just simply being consistent. Then what I would do when I left work, I would end my day job, and I would still kick in about 15 minutes before I got in my car to finish following up with people. So I would write that in as well. And if you're using green for your work, you can use yellow for your Beachbody business. Okay, so you plug in the 10 to 10:15, the 6 to 6:15, the 12 to 1 o'clock, right? Now you can, this is very visual. You see exactly how much time you need for your home life, your work life, your business life, okay? And that's all. And so in that white area or that yellow area, you write in exactly what you're doing. I'll tell you exactly what I've written in. This was last week. I've got 5 private messages to send. I've got send invitations to my February coach group. I've got post about leader of the day in my coach group. So those are the things that I've assigned myself. And if I set this up on Sunday night, I know exactly what I'm doing for the week, each week. And it doesn't take very long, especially when you're having fun with highlighters, I'm telling you. Make it fun and exciting. So if you're wondering, though, too, how do you fit in the rest of the, you know, we talk about inviting and your personal development and your being a product of the product. It's all that other stuff that you maybe sometimes don't know what to do. That's where you want to set on that same Sunday night, you want to set your 10 goals for the week. So I got back to doing this again, and I highly recommend it, and this is what kept me in check while I was working full-time. I had gotten lazy being home, and now I realized, I was do what worked before. This is actually Darren Hardy's. This is a free PDF. I'll share that with you. It's Living Your Best Year Yet, if you don't have it. But I'm going through this with my team as well. Each week, you go through your top 10 goals for the week. So I write down, what do I want to do this week? And then I fill those in on my empty white spots that do not include your invitations or your 3 vital behaviors. These are the extra things that you want to do, these goals. So that pretty much sums up how I fit in the calendar. And I know I mentioned the power of 3. We use the term power of 3. I think you guys use something very similar. And it's super simple, especially for new coaches. And all it is, every day, you send 3 friend requests. You add 3 people to your network. I say friend requests because I built my business on Facebook. But if you're on Instagram, that's 3 conversations that I am now connected with this person. So 3 people each day. Then 3 invitations to challenge groups. Now this is where my team, I'm not necessarily a, hey, you want to join my challenge group kind of person. What worked for me was sending private messages to people. Hey, I was just thinking about you. You just came up on my feed. I hope you're doing well. I just saw that you went whitewater rafting. It looked like a great time. I sent off 3 of those messages at minimum. Okay, so invitations to me is the same thing. So 3 friend requests, 3 messages, and then 3 to 5 coaching opportunity invitations. So if you're having all those conversations, chances are you're having a coaching opportunity conversation, especially if you're running coach sneak peeks or coaching opportunities. It's very easy to invite people to those. So it's simple, power of 3 every day, 3, 3, 3, especially when your schedule is as tight as mine was. It's really nice to have all of this time now to do fun, extra Beachbody stuff. But for me, I built my business in a very, very, very limited amount of time, and I wouldn't change it for a thing. So that's really it.
That's it?
I think that's it. Do you have any questions? Did I miss anything?
No, I think you did awesome. That's so good. I just wanted to wrap up a few things. Now, Anna, is this calendar system okay to do virtually? Like if someone likes to use a virtual calendar? Yeah.
In fact, If you use like Google Calendar, it's the same thing. You can assign colors.
Yeah.
And I did that for a period of time. You can assign colors for those same time slots. So for work, you would do green, and you just color that area in your Google Calendar. Same thing applies, and then you fill in the blanks.
Cool. Yeah, and I use Google Calendar because I can access it anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But I wrote down on my notes, have fun with highlighters, and that just sounds really fun to me. Like, I just want to go get a planner and highlight. That just sounds fun.
I've done it every single way you possibly can. Yeah. And it is kind of a pain to drag this to work. I did it, but I'm telling you, that was the most productive I was ever, is when I actually had it and could see it. And, you know, sometimes with Google Calendar, for me, I use it on a regular basis, but I don't schedule my week out with it. Sometimes those alerts pop up on your phone, and I just clear them. Like, it doesn't register with me that that's actually something I need to do. With this, it's very easy to just keep referencing.
Awesome.
My personal opinion, but I've used it all, and you can use it if Google Calendars is your thing. Color it. Make it colorful. Make it fun.
Right. Yeah, no, mine totally is. I think that's really cool because some people just like the pen and paper. Some people like virtual. So seriously, you just really got to find what works, and hopefully you have a few tips from this. A few things that I just want to reiterate that I think is really awesome that I hope you guys caught, like the 15-minute coach call. Brilliant. I love that. So one great thing that happened to you today, one thing you're struggling with, and any questions you have for me, that's awesome. The second thing I wrote down was make sure to review your calendar every Sunday and set 10 goals for your week. I love that. I think that's awesome. And then I love the fact, like, sending messages in the morning, like getting your messages out and not getting sucked into the inbox is really important.
So easy to get sucked in. It's so easy to open your email. It's so easy to look at your Facebook messages. But if you don't do that and you send off your 3 or 5 or whatever, then you know you've accomplished more than you usually do.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with that. So I think that's really key, and I think that will help a lot of people. And my one coach, Lindsay Bauer, had a great idea that I shared with the team a couple weeks ago where she sets a list of 60 people at the beginning of every month, and her goal is to reach out to 2 people a morning or a day, and the list is all done for her. So it's like really easy to just reach out and check them off, which I love that idea.
So she actually writes the person's name, 60 people?
Yes, she has 60 so that she has no excuse to not do it. You know, sometimes it's like, oh, you know,
can't think of anybody.
Yeah, who can I message? Who can I message today? Exactly. So if you sit down and plan that ahead, it's kind of just like the calendar thing, like planning ahead. So, and then the last thing I wanted to touch on was, you know, I tend to, I have set hours where it's like, okay, I'm done at 6 and I'm going to go make dinner with Adam. Yet I tend to always work into the 6 o'clock hour, and then all of a sudden it's 7 o'clock, and then nobody's starting dinner. And it's like I don't like that, and he's
so easy to do.
So you know, I loved how you just said, like, date nights, and just there's no exceptions. You know, you stick to the calendar, and family time is family time. So it's all really good reminders, and I so appreciate your time, and I think
absolutely. Yeah, I was gonna say one more thing is that when you do set that up for the week and you color it, you being a numbers person, I know, you can count how many hours you're working on the business. Like, if you see all your yellow highlighters, like, how many, because I know I work way more hours than I should be. Like you said, you run into when I'm not scheduled. But if you set, and you're like, gosh, that's like 27 hours. That's not bad. But in your head, you have no idea how much time you're working if you're not scheduled. And then you end up getting yourself burnt out, too, when you overdo it. So it's a good way to see exactly how many hours you're working.
Yeah. Okay, for new coaches, what's your number one tip for new coaches?
Oh, you put me on the spot. Number one tip for new coaches. Show up every day.
Okay.
Show up every day, meaning...
like plug in. You're saying plug in.
Excuse me, plug in every day. It doesn't mean watch an hour video every day. but you show up in your team page, you show up, you get an idea of what's going on, show up every day, because when you don't, I just used this term the other day, this terminology. It's like a train, and you're chugging along. If you show up every day, you're chugging along, but the 3 days, the 4 days that you don't, your train stops. And as we know, to get that train moving again takes so much effort. You feel behind, but you're not, but you feel behind, and then you just don't want to do it, and then you think you're a failure. Mm-hmm. If you just show up every day, then that train keeps moving.
Amen. Okay, and then what would you give advice to someone who's been in the business for a year but feels like maybe they're not moving as fast as they want to be, or maybe they feel like their train is stopped? How do they get it back moving, or how do they really take their business to the next level?
I think, honestly, with as many failures as I've been through, and I've been through my share, not only was this last elite failure a failure in my eyes, I've been there, I've been plateaued, and the only thing that's gotten me past that is belief and personal development. Because without belief, there's nothing. You can't do this business if you don't believe that you can do it. You doubt yourself, you compare yourself. I mean, that's only natural. But belief for me was always, I know I will be successful. I don't know when I will hit that mark, but I know that I will. It may take me 10 years, but I will, and I will continue to try. So the belief, I think, is just probably the biggest thing. So like a Post-it note everywhere that says believe, then
yeah,
it may help.
And isn't it crazy how no matter how successful we get, we always want more?
Totally.
Right?
Totally.
It's like, it's so like you're saying, like, you know, I'll get there. It's like we're all of us, everybody watching this call is successful, you know? You're talking to people, you have successes. It's just the level of success and where you want to go. But it's, you know, sometimes we just need to take a step back and say, man, you know, like, good job. Like you said, give yourself.
Yeah, I just did that yesterday. I did that, you know, you work so hard and you're comparing yourself and you feel, because you always want to be better, which is actually a really good thing. I mean, I just tell new coaches that, you know, go through training and they're like, I just don't know, I just can't do this, and I'm like, that's a good quality to have, because you just want to be better. We always want to be better. So if we don't take a step back, we never think. That's why I always ask, you know, what was a good thing that happened to you today. But I know we as leaders, we don't necessarily have those calls, those 15-minute calls. I kind of wish we did, because we would be put on that spot that said, what was a good thing that happened to you today? And you go, that's a good thing.
We would have that call if we limited it to 15 minutes.
I know. See, we don't. That's the problem. Okay. But yes, it's why you give yourself a pat on the back. So if you write in your schedule, what was the one good thing that happened today, then appreciate it.
All right, here's the challenge. Here's a challenge for you, for me, and everybody on this call. Every night when we sign off, we got to post on Facebook one good thing that happened today.
I love it.
Okay, let's do it. Everybody's in. Everybody who's on this call is in. Okay?
Yes. Do we have a hashtag so we can see what
oh gosh. I don't know. What would be a good one?
I'm all in, because that's Mike Ryan's.
Okay. We'll have to think of one, and we'll let you know.
Okay.
But thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it. And are you still coming to Wisconsin for hockey?
I am. I forgot to tell you I wasn't, and now I am. I'll be up there.
Beautiful. So I will see you in March, and then we'll see you in Cancun. So thank you so much for being on, and love you, and I hope you have a great night, and say hi to the family.
Yay, Dad, Adam.
Thanks for being on, you guys. Have a good night. Thanks, Anna.
Bye.